Welcome, acolytes. Today I am reacting to how is the man called? Kavos. Kavos' little video for Logan Paul, and Logan Paul seems to be a bit bitchy about something. Not sure about what, but there is something that actually hurts his heart. The wee little heart that he has. The poor little guy. But let's see what he has to say, and let's just start. And by the way, if you like my content, leave a like, subscribe, comment, catch you. Let's start.
George Janko beef is something that has remained a mystery now for a while.
Oh, George Janko. Okay, I see, okay.
To really understand the full picture of why George Janko left.
Oh, and I don't know anything about Logan Paul, I just know I don't like him. No, there's of course a bit more, but you know. Everybody that heard about his scams, thingy-bobs, and things he actually did to be pretty hateful, it's understandable.
One of the most popular podcasts in the world, and things are becoming even more clear through a variety of new statements and stories about George Janko, including George runs into a fellow impulsive co-host after all this beef, and we get some pretty interesting insight into everything that is still going on. So what do we have already? Well, we know that Logan Paul, being the absolute bellend he is, went after George Janko because he is very religious.
One that really hurt me is you told me I need a therapist because I believe in Jesus. That one hurt.
No, I didn't. I said you need a therapist because Jesus isn't quite doing it for you, which is true.
No, you didn't. And I don't want to stand down.
Going as far as to question the religion, disrespect the religion, and call out George for not being emotionally intelligent due to being religious.
It is common knowledge that you don't interpret reality like reality happens.
When you think George needs a therapist, what category am I following?
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional. Me.
Yes.
I'm not emotionally intelligent. Could you pick a time and frame any day of our life?
Here's one. 3 weeks ago, when you were sitting in that chair, you stormed off this exact podcast because you were upset about something a comedian said.
No, I was upset that I finally discussed.
Listen, I just answered your question. I'm not looking for rationalization about the thing. I just answered your question.
I'm going to jump into that one. I'm not sure that that's
what I've examined and witnessed in your behavior. I don't think the prayer is doing enough.
Imagine Logan Paul, the guy who ripped off and scammed his fans, telling you you aren't emotionally intelligent. And while we're talking about...
Oh my god, this... I'm gonna be honest, Kavos is just right here. The guy that actually literally scams people on a regular basis actually thinks that there is wants to teach her about emotional freaking intelligence. Like, is this something that he just...
What the...
I just don't know, like, is this a joke? It sounds like a joke, isn't it? Wouldn't you say it's a joke? It's... I don't know.
Logan Paul's shady ways. I had a lot of respect for George before, but ever since he really stepped up when no one else did against Logan Paul to his face about the CryptoZoo victims, I gained even more respect.
So what do you say to the people that watched you make the project where you're taking pictures and all the other projects? How does it feel for you in your seat where your team's saying, hey, shut up, don't bring this up, we're going to bring this back in the future and all the answers will be explained? How does it feel knowing that you couldn't speak up in time and now you look like this villain, and no disrespect, you look like a piece of shit to the people that are like, yo, fuck this guy sitting on millions of dollars, always trying to get attention, and now he doesn't give a fuck about us, so he's not going to speak out about it until this other fuck dude's going to speak out.
Yep, he's correct 100%.
And now this cocksucker is going to talk now.
George made sure on that specific podcast that Logan didn't try and just blame the victims or CoffeeZilla. And you know, cracks started to emerge between George and Logan Paul, especially during the episode with Bobby Lee when George walked off the podcast.
There was certain... He is clocked out. Yeah, I know.
George has been under a tremendous amount of abuse.
No,
Stop, George. I want you over here with me. George, I want you over here with me. Chase him down. Go. You find him. George, no, go get him. I said he walked, and that's a first. And now we're gonna have to deal with the fallout of this episode for
Logan,
the next 2
Mike.
months. I swear to God, Bobby Lee, you pissed off my co-host. He's probably crying in the driveway.
Obviously, George being a comedian, probably shouldn't have done that. If you're a comedian, you'd be able to take jokes. But the way Logan went about the aftermath of it, and, you know, it's his friend.
He is clocked out.
You could tell there were definite cracks. And, you know, we all know George left the podcast. And after this, you know, Logan Paul started disrespecting George, saying sly comments like, if he had a show no one watched, it would be like George Janko's show.
We don't acknowledge him enough.
Oh shit.
We love you
Get up,
guys.
get
We
up.
love you guys. Seriously, without you, this would be
We're
nothing.
done.
I didn't know we were doing this right now.
I'm
but
sorry,
No, I get it. I love this outlet. I love this outlet, and it exists because people watch. And without people watching, I just have a show like.
Here's other clips of Logan going after George.
Live today, more than I'd like to admit, who have the same collective intelligence as Hayden.
No. Like
The
worse.
same. The only
Worse.
difference is there's
Worse.
technology and stuff.
No, that makes it worse. That's why I said worse, because they don't even realize how addicted they are to their phones. They're literally like, they don't exist.
Well, I could argue that.
They don't.
Was
They're-
he-
They're there, but like
They're
they're
there.
actually a negative input to the world.
They're net negative.
Was he going? Is he thinking about the same person I'm thinking about?
I don't know if
I'm
he's
thinking
talking
about
anyone.
like billions of people.
Who are you talking about? Say the name, we'll believe it. For our
Oh.
Oh.
no, don't.
It's clear that this breakup was fiery, and Logan wasn't taking it too well to his ego. George slowly started to reveal bits about this breakup. On Harry Mandel's podcast, he said they were making him out to be someone he wasn't.
My biggest fear is that I worked this hard to leave and people made me out to be a man I'm not, and that I had to exit being a man I wasn't proud of because of editing or certain ways they try to paint me.
And then even more shocking, the revelation was that legally, George said he couldn't speak about it.
Curious now, what is the biggest misconception of you and what happened there that that bothered you? And it's not true. And maybe they got that misconception because of the way you were editorialized or...
I'm really not. They very much made it clear that I'm not allowed to speak up about that. So I can't even.
Legally?
Yeah.
You can tell George was really hurt by Logan and his actions, and more recently now, George went on Jake Paul's podcast and started divulging more about Logan and what actually went down. Firstly, George said they just constantly had disagreement.
Obviously, this is all coming off of Impulsive. If you don't mind me asking, where did things stand with you and Logan and the relationship?
What I don't understand, it seems like just bullshit drama without any real stakes or something like that, because I am just baffled right now. Okay, I'm concentrating on Helldivers a bit too much, but also it just sounds like freaking bullshit, to be honest. It sounds like something that you could actually explain in a matter of seconds. Then probably not understanding something. But I just don't know. What's the problem here? I mean, the one comedian just ran away just because somebody was not nice to him. I mean, Logan Paul is a provocateur. You should actually be somewhat not able, but not be surprised that he actually tries to F you around. It's normal. I just don't get the drama here.
Disagreements. Just like how you disagree with me, right? But I feel like you guys might be a little tighter because you guys are blood, right? You can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
As much as I've seen you guys tried hard.
Yeah.
But I think it was just we had personal issues between each other, and it's hard because my love never left, right? And when you go around the world and people are dapping you up, be like, "Hey, yo, fuck Logan," like that, and I'm like, "Yo, like chill." Like that's still the guy that opened up the doors for me and he took care of me. So like, it's hard. I don't forget where I come from, and also it's like all the other memories that people don't see is very good memories. And to me, it was just like we'll get around to this at some point.
Which, if you watch the Bobby Lee podcast or Logan talking about George's religion, you can definitely see they weren't really getting on anymore, and I don't blame George for not getting on with Logan because he's an ignorant fuck and only has his interests at heart. He doesn't seem to care about the people who are actually around him. George then makes this really interesting point about how...
Yeah, and I mean, okay, good, because... But on the other end, he knows Logan. He just knows him. He knows this is the case. So still, even if... I just don't get the reaction out of it. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, seemingly I don't understand something here. I'm just not getting the point of this drama. I just don't get it in any kind of way. I just don't understand it fully. That's... I don't get it.
Because Logan was always above him in like the industry way. Like Logan was way bigger, more famous, that he kind of felt like now he had to prove himself that he didn't need Logan, so that when they had a conversation together, Logan wouldn't think that it's out of anything but love. Whereas before, George thinks that maybe Logan thought it would be more transactional sometimes.
My plan was this. I think in the back of Logan's mind, regardless of how he thinks, and regardless of what I've done as a friend, I think the aspect of him being above me in the industry, in his mind, he'll always think, well, he's only sticking around and it's because he gets something out of it. So in my mind, I was like, all right, fuck this. I'm out. And when I come back, I'm going to show you I'm stronger and I don't need you. And that way, when we do have a conversation, you know it's only out of love and I only want to be in a relationship.
Interesting. Wow.
I mean, this to me is quite sad that George felt like that. He needed to do that. I mean, fair play. I like the mindset, but how much of a prick does Logan have to be to make his friends feel inferior to him and that they need to go out and prove themselves just to be on the same level as him? I'm not surprised someone like George would feel like that, especially because Logan Paul seems like such a narcissist who values only clout and money, as we've seen in his past actions with CryptoZoo, Liquid Marketplace, all these schemes and ventures he's tried cooking up. Jake then chimes in saying that they think they should be friends and that it can be fixed.
Yeah, I feel like when you guys were going through that, I just like didn't believe it at first.
Yeah, he kept texting me.
Yeah, and I was like, because why? And it doesn't seem like necessary, but also you guys are so passionate, both of you, and I don't know. I just always was like, yeah, they're gonna be friends again and figure it out, and I do still believe that. I think at some point they'll be putting differences aside, and there's nothing can't be fixed, and that's what I would like to see.
You know, showing that their issues have not been resolved. If I was George, I would stay as far away as I can from that freak Logan as possible. George Janko has been absolutely like crushing it since he left Logan's podcast, which is an amazing thing to see. Most notably his Andrew Tate video, which has gotten way over now 10 million views, and his channel is definitely on the rise since he left Logan's podcast, which is, you know, fantastic to see, because Logan was trying to make digs like this at George.
People watch, and without people watching, I just have a show like
Now, on his own back, on his own merit, George is actually doing well. So he's officially beaten Logan Paul. So let's talk about George running into Mike since this beef happened recently, very recently. So Mike goes on his podcast and details his story about how he ran into George on an airplane just completely out of the blue. Mike says George...
Okay, so I think I got it now. So basically Logan Paul just treated him as lesser. I mean, understandable that's frustrating. But still, we're talking about Logan Paul. Of course he's gonna do that. That's what Logan Paul does. That's just him. It's not even something special. Oh, no. So, as I said, no, I understand it now better, but I just don't understand what they expected. That's maybe the confusion of mine. Like, yes, of course, it's Logan Paul we're talking about. That's honestly nothing new. Yes, this will happen. And of course, this guy thinks he's better than you. That's just what he does. It's not even surprising, to be honest. Or at least not for me.
Reached his hand out, you know, it was like nothing ever happened.
I ran into George the other day. I know you probably weren't going to say it because
I'm not going to say it. You could say it. I'm not going to.
So I texted you about it, obviously. It was the first time I'd seen him since everything had happened. I was on a plane down here, and I was sitting in my seat and, you know, texting, and I look up, and there he is.
What is the chance?
And so I see him on the plane with Bell in tow, and you know, I think he didn't really know what to say, and I was just in shock. So I just did the only thing that felt natural to me, which was I stood up and I put my hand out. You know, and I just put my hand out, and he shook my hand, and we smiled at each other, and it was like nothing had ever happened. And
told Mike he's excited for the future, he's in a better place mentally.
So the flight lands, we get off, and we have this conversation, and it literally was like nothing had changed. I mean, it was, yo, I just want to tell you guys congratulations, and he's got big plans for the show, and you know, I told him, dude, congratulations on the Tate shows. Like, he told me that he's just in a better place now. He's in a better place mentally. He's excited about the future because, as we all know, when you are misaligned with your purpose in life, that brings along problems.
You know, it seems like a pleasant interaction, and Mike always seemed like, as much as I don't rate the guy, with the George stuff especially, Mike always seemed like a bit of a middleman, didn't seem to take Logan's side sometimes all the time. Don't get me wrong, Mike knows where his bread is fucking buttered, but there were instances and glimmers of Mike sticking up for George.
And I'm not sure that that's representative of emotional intelligence. George has been under a tremendous amount of abuse. No, stop, George. I want you over here with me. George, I want you over here with me.
And then this is what is most interesting, is one of these interviewers asked, what would happen if Logan was on the plane with George? Mike just tries not to answer the question at all and just deflects it by saying, yeah, well, you know, they got each other Christmas cards.
Hypothetical. Let's say you're sitting there, you're on the flight, and it's you and Logan sitting on the flight, first class, 1A, 1B, George walks in. How would that situation been different?
Logan would have bought the plane and kicked everybody off?
So evidently, evidently they're talking too.
Okay.
Evidently there are conversations there too, and they've been, you know, exchanging Christmas cards. I will say I didn't get a Christmas card from either of you guys. So
that's messed up.
They both got each other's Christmas cards. So, like, you know, like, it is what it is. But yeah, like, I have a feeling that it's just one of those situations in life that worked out the way it worked out, and everyone will be better, or at the very least different, as a result of it.
So yeah, not much of a confident answer from Mike there of what would have went down if they bumped into each other, if things are even going to be resolved or can be resolved, because it seems like things have cut pretty deep for George. Well, I will say though, if George gets Logan on his podcast, that will do absolute crazy fucking numbers. Mike earlier gave a bit more insight.
Yeah, I mean, it would be entertaining because for me at least, it looks like pretty bullshit drama, to be honest. But it would be funny to watch. It would be fun to watch at the end of the day, but let's see.
Insight as well into the George Janko versus Logan and like the separating from the podcast, saying that George's, you know, values and what he wanted to preach and talk about didn't align with Impulsive in the show, so that's why he felt there was a bit of friction.
That there was, as I mentioned earlier, in what George kind of stands for, that is so ingrained in his being. It is so innate and real and authentic in him that it is his life's purpose to push the work of the Lord, to push the ideas of conservatism and traditionality and family unit and monogamy, which is incredible. But I think that that's not to say that those values are not important to Logan or to me, but that's not necessarily what that show is about.
No. If you make fun of those values, you're not in it. You may like your family, you may do, but it doesn't mean shit. As soon as you make fun of it, you're done. You can make fun of it in a personal or in a sense where you're on, not on a podcast, let's begin it like that, not in an official way. But when you have friends, yeah, sure, why not? Under 4 friends, yeah.
And Mike goes on to say that apparently that would really mess with George because that's what he really wanted to do and felt like he should have been doing with his life.
But I think that kind of, I think it really messed with George even more because he knows that he should be doing that stuff, talking about that stuff, prioritizing that stuff.
I personally think that George added a great perspective to Impulsive. You had Mike and Logan who were just the airheads, but George would actually give valuable insight. And like he did with the CryptoZoo stuff, give a perspective that maybe wasn't popular with Mike or Logan, but would challenge them and talk to them about real shit. I think Mike and Logan probably were threatened by that, if I'm honest. Mike says as well that, you know, there was a lot of regrets and things could definitely have been handled differently.
In hindsight, everything can be done differently. There could be a little tweak here, there could be a little tweak there. He had already started his own show, which, as you all know, has become extremely successful. I mean, there were conversations that happened that were, in my eyes, looking back, they could have been done a lot better. There were conversations that involved religion. There were conversations that involved, George's feelings and George's sentiment towards how he was being treated by guests that were on our show, that potentially could have been overlooked.
Which, yeah, you can completely see, and I agree with, from what I've seen of George. I have spoke to George very, very briefly. He commented about a video I made in a very positive way, thanking me for making these videos, and it was nice to interact with him. He just seems like a really pleasant, nice guy, and, you know, all power to him, leaving Logan and Mike. Logan mainly because, you know, the further away from Logan Paul, the better. Like the video if you think George did the right thing and you prefer George over Logan. Comment below your opinion. I'm reading all the comments. Subscribe if you're new.
Yeah, I mean, at the end it just sounds like some I don't even know if I'm gonna release this video because I didn't add that much to it, but on the other hand, it's just like I agree with him, with Castle, so, but it's somewhat senseless, to be honest. But yeah, it's purely for entertainment reason. For that, I guess it's good enough. But at the end, I just don't get it. I just don't. If someone could explain to me, then please. If I release this, but if not, then yeah. But as it is, good night, acolytes.